Greetings, everyone. This is Rock Spot Convention with another comic retro review of Transmetropolitan. This time, focusing on Volume 3, Year of the Bastard. So, Year of the Bastard is actually a full story in one trade. Running the span of issues 13 through 18. And it's about Spider covering the upcoming presidential election. The first part, he's actually reluctant to do so. He doesn't want to do it. He's inundated with campaign ads from opposition candidates. Gary Callahan, more commonly known throughout the series as the Smiler, as well as Senator Heller, as the opposition party convention's coming up. He watches a talk show with Senator Callahan's political director, Dr. Peter Severn, observing things, and while watching this, Royce calls. Now, one thing to note, Severn actually calls out her boss's opponent, Senator Heller, who, it said, had just won the Florida primaries, but she says that Bob Heller seeks to ride into office upon a wave of mutilation. His Florida campaign for the candidacy rested entirely upon cultural and economic divides, the exploitation of tensions, and the vestiges of prejudice. His appearance in Sanford looked like a Nuremberg rally. So, but yes, Royce is talking with Spider and basically saying, you need to cover the election, man. I mean, you wrote the book on the last one. So, your readers expect it. And if they don't get it, they're going to feel betrayed. And betrayed readers stop reading. So, after breakfast, he goes out and starts learning at least somewhat about the campaign. He gets some information from a former political consultant turned drug dealer. The bar she hangs out called Agnew's. And the first part ends with Spider telling SBKF citywide feed site that he's going to be covering the election. And also gives a little taste of his opinions on politics. That brings us to Chapter 2, where Spider shows up at the Word. To tell Royce that yes, he'll cover the election, but on condition that he get a raise, an expense account for weaponry, and the use of Royce's wife. Royce has no problem with any of these. Even the wife, but mainly because, well, she left Royce a year previously, and, well, if Spider can find her, he's welcome to her. But he suggests that he carry a whip and a chair. Also, Royce has a new assistant for Spider, Yelena Rossini, Royce's niece. So, he tells Yelena where to meet him the next morning, what to bring, recording gear, a big kit bag for his professional equipment. Next day, upon getting home, he learns what he can from the various news shows about Bob Heller, Gary Callahan, and any further information he feels he wants to add, presumably about the Beast, the sitting president. The next morning, Spider meets Yelena at Meany Hall for the first day of the convention, and he actually gets to meet with Rossini, or not with Rossini, but with Dr. Severn, as well as Alan Schacht, the senator's political consultant, and the senator himself, who's portrayed largely as an empty suit. Well, basically an empty suit with a big grin. He quotes Ulysses and claims it's his favorite poem. Makes a few comments that open up some divides within the group. Apparently, Senator Callahan is not entirely in favor of is not going to be the pick of the Second Amendment of the NRA. However, Dr. Severn carries a gun, which catches Schacht and Callahan by surprise. And it's described in the column that basically that when he's not actively involved in a conversation, Callahan kind of just dissociates from whatever room he's in. Turns out Spider has left some source gas in the room, though, and is able to records the conversations that Callahan, Schacht, and Severn have after he leaves. And yes, it's great. He hammers out a few things about Callahan, calling him genuinely intelligent and educated, not the wolfen street-fighting instinctual smarts of the beast, but a man of knowledge and long thought. Honorable people working for him, and the brightest veteran political fixers tell me he's going to be president. He's also a fake. A source close to the senator has been describing the millions disenfranchised by the beast as the new scum. Indicates the senator considers himself on close moral terms with Joe Heller. Seems the convention is merely going to decide the face of the guy who'll be fucking us next. Which brings us to part 3. Parts of the column that we just saw were read, or have made their way into the public, and, well, Spider wants to know, or the media wants to know who Spider's source was, and, well, of course, he's a journalist, he doesn't reveal his sources. Yelena gets... Both Yelena and Spider do ads on television about, well, Yelena gets picked up, basically, oh, you're Spider's assistant. What can you tell us about Spider? Spider does ads, kind of like rock the vote type stuff. And so, Spider then goes to a Heller rally. Column being Notes on a Rally. Senator Bob Heller has the Smiler's balls in his hand, and I put them there. The time I took a long look at Heller. Tonight's Heller rally is set to finish at exactly 15 minutes before the ball game starts, and located less than 15 minutes from 4 dozen sports bars. Bob Heller picks his venues carefully, and we all shuffle through his golden gates into the presence. Spider is, of course, smoking as he sits waiting for Heller to show up, and the guy sitting next to him tells him to put it out and calls him weak, and then Spider headbutts the guy. Everyone else applauds this, which kind of shocks Spider. Sudden expectant silence. They take a breath and hold it in their throats, as if they're about to come. On stage, posing greeters, flash their paid-for smiles at a small figure. Here we go. So goddamn potent that even showgirls twice his height just have to have a taste. Around me, that breath is still held, and explodes out in a sudden roar of approval and love. He's still a working stiff at heart. Christ, Bob Heller has a really punchable face. Right there. That's pretty punchable, wouldn't you say? Heller says his piece. Christ, the noise. Massive, hating, hard-on voices degenerate into a weird animal mix. Continues on. And afterwards, Spider standing outside, chain smoking. A very worried look on his face. Presumably also parts of the actual speech are included in the column, and Spider claims that he did not make them. He swears he didn't make a word of it up. Finished with general notes. 2 days in the whirlwind have left me shipwrecked and abandoned. Even the stuff I've been shooting in order to Holmes-like keep my interest in the world alive is failing me now. I played the game like a good little whore, snarled and cursed on cue, done the work and banged out the columns. I'll let myself sleep soon, and hope to hell the world doesn't seem so goddamn fractured when I wake up. Having said that, I also hope I wake to find half the city committed suicide on my honor. The next morning, Yelena arrives, finding Spider passed out at his desk. And shortly after she arrives, Vita Severin shows up, wanting to talk to Spider. Though she come back later because it does seem like Spider's sleeping. And so, Yelena rather rudely wakes Spider up. And Vita talks to Spider. Spider is dismissive and insulting because he's Spider fucking Jerusalem. And she decides to leave. But he notices that she changed her hair. So he wants to know, why did she change it? The first few times we saw Vita in the story, her hair was done up in the classic Princess Leia buns. She explains the haircut was cultural button-pushing semiotic terrorism, Shaq's idea. Make her look tough and smart, but also look like the underdog, fighting an evil empire as best I can. She hated the haircut. And so, Spider offers her coffee. And they talk. And Spider's next column, he quite plainly states that the best part of the Callahan campaign is Dr. Severin, calling her bright, funny, acid, caring, brutal, and passionate. She's the only actual human being he's met in politics to date, and the fact that she's also a campaign director would make me laugh if it weren't such a waste. As far as he can see, her employment by the Smiler is the only sign of actual taste he's seen in the Smiler's show, and she is the only reason to vote for him. Referred to as a backhanded endorsement of Callahan. Moving on to part 4, well, the convention is getting underway. Spider is becoming more of a celebrity, and with his trademark shades now being sold promotionally, and Spider upping the amount of substances he utilizes. And the next day she delivers 500 pieces of paper signed by Spider, as Royce requested, to Royce. And she asks, why is he cramming every orifice and pore with drugs? Because apparently Spider's incapable of a straight answer. Though Royce's basically starts off by saying, "We're at that stage already, huh?" And he explains that one day, 6 years previously, he went to Spider's house. The board was missing a column, and he'd had enough. So he had a gun. He was going to walk away with either a column or Spider's heart. Found him in the house's bath, body covered in regenerative tape set to reinflate and re-wall his veins, shooting heroin into the skin between his toes. Bleeding from the eyes because he rubbed cocaine into his tear ducts, thinking it'd keep him awake, banging H into his feet because all his other veins had collapsed. His last book was being released. He was writing hugely popular columns. He was beloved for Torture the President print weekly, all over TV and the feeds, and whispered adoringly over at dinner parties. Then it all stopped. He was loved and rich, and suddenly he couldn't write anymore. Not like he was. And he explains that Spider needs to be in the city to write, but he also needs to be hated. And so Spider goes out on the street and get another column. Back on the street, back where I was born, where parts of me will always be. The parts were chopped off and buried with cardamom pods by that strange little cat-eyed girl from Ashmolean Point. Another lesson in media activism and writing the monoculture, using it for all it's worth. I've been postered and 10-second ads spotted to death in the last 24 hours. That's aside from the TV and feed site stuff I've done for money and the extra heat on the column. Lots of people know my face. I'm deliberately walking through Red Church on my way to my final destination. Red Church being what Gary Callahan would call my natural constituency. Whores, pushers, filmmakers, musicians, dancers, deviants, polysexual, transhumans, alkies, junkies, editors, the new scum, voters, and, even more crucially, feed site listeners. The feed site listener falls into step and true to form asks in his supple TV voice, "What's happening, Spider?" And all I say is, "We're going this way," and that's it. I've got him. I recognize a journalist from the Thunderer checking me out and wandering along, and a pair of camera eyes from the Taverniers specialty news channels staggering out of an Edge Game club, all scarred, sticky, and orgasm-eyed. And you can see it in all of them. Spider's rhythm is a nut, and everyone knows that. He's a crazy man. Let's go see what the crazy man's doing. That's the Spider image sold and sent. Trust the fuckhead. Loathsome, lifeless, robotic little shits. Follow the money, follow the famous guy. Journos, rubberneckers, bored whores, and kids all smashed right with fetal alcohol syndrome and brass-knuckle backhanders from mommy. Days like this, I know why the Spider and the Beast hate you all. Follow me all the way down to hell, you fucks, come on. Follow anyone with the right smile, the right coverage, the right image. Follow anyone who says, "I'll look after you. I'll take the big decisions out of your hands so you can go back to shitting in each other's lives and fucking yourselves in complete blissful ignorance." The Oval Office carpet is thick with presidential semen. They look out the window and think, "I own you all," and jack off like ugly apes in humping season. It's what they live for. No one who wants that is to be trusted. Why can't you all see that? Well, today I make you all see what I want you to see. The bastards want to make me the news? Fine. Here's your goddamn news. We peel out the street into the connected alleyway, and a few of them work out where I'm going. They get nervous. Within a few minutes, their shiver of knowledge has traveled the group around, and the party atmosphere dies by regretful, betrayed degrees. The bit of Red Church no one ever goes to. The bit they'd never have gone to if they hadn't been blindly following me. Welcome to the Clooney Square Community Estate, I said to them, also known as the Red Church Housing Projects, depending on whose paperwork you read. Built and filled precisely 1 month after the Beast took power. 1 month after the city fell into the hands of the party and government. This estate was designed specifically for families in poverty, meaning families who traditionally voted for the party, now in opposition. We've got a guy from SBKF, of course, keeping an eye on Spider. And Spider asks, "This is a place the feet listeners come to often, is it?" Clooney Square is nothing but shit in the heart of the city, right? And the guy just kind of, well, yeah, you're going to tell me it's not, aren't you? And Spider tells the guy the story and to go live. Let dirty old Uncle Spider tell it to you. The story. The borough authorities, under direct orders from Civic Center, which in turn was answering voter zoning plans from the White House, moved the poorest of the poor here. The people who needed Civic Center's help most. You know, this place was built so cheaply that in the event of a gunfight, bullets have been known to plow through 9 apartments worth of walls before stopping. And then shows one of the children living in the apartment. That beauty mark on his face is called the grazer. Disease used to be limited to what were called third world countries, the underdeveloped nations, the ultimate poverty zones. Now, it exists only in America. It starts as a black spot on the cheek within days. It's begun to glide the face away in planes, grazing on flesh. The luckiest people in Clooney Square get to choose between buying a prescription or eating. Everyone else don't. Spider says that handing the boy money, so he could potentially, get some medication. The guy from the feed side asks what the little boy wants to be when he grows up, and the boy simply says, nothing. Spider lightly assaults the guy and says there's nothing to... that's a dumb question. There's nothing to be on Clooney Square. It's fallen off the world. They can't find their way back on their own. You're not supposed to say that in America, are you? The land of can-do. The American dream of grab all you can and fuck the other guy. But it's true. Clooney Square is rotting. If and when utilities workers enter these apartments to service power and water, they have to wear antibacterial suits. But the people who live here don't get them. Clooney Square is poison. The police enter in groups of no less than 20. Cabs won't enter at all. The address on a job application is death. And this is fixable. This was caused by the president that you all voted in twice. It can be fixed by voting him out. The SPKF then asks, does this mean that Spider's endorsing Senator Callahan? Spider simply says no. It means he's endorsing someone who kicks out the beast and saves the people in Clooney Square and all the other places like it. After that, he returns home and Elena's freaking out, asking where he's been. She's just found out that that the opposition party is selecting their candidate tomorrow. The Spider says it's all over. It's happened already. The fix is in. Alluding to tells her to ask her father, who worked on Senator Longmarch's campaign, which she actually didn't realize Spider heard her say that, but he says he hears all. So they get a shot. They have a shot together. And she kind of asks about what he's, the way he's been of late, and he actually gives her a straight, long-winded but straight answer. He explains that he's to get drunk, sub himself with something speedy, then go out tomorrow to cover the selection. Moving on to Chapter 6, which begins with Spider waking up. His right arm is completely dead. He can't lift it. He's going to die in bed. Only to discover that, no, his right arm's not dead. It's just underneath Yelena, who's in bed next to him. and just as naked as he is. And she then rolls over onto him, and then the cat pounces and wakes them both up rather rudely. Yelena is not entirely happy about the realization of what happened. Vita calls and reminds him, hey, selections tonight, and she mentions she'd like to come over for coffee again sometime, which Spider admits he'd like. She also chides Spider for working Yelena too hard to let her go home to her own bed. Yelena insists that nothing happened. They had some drinks, they went to sleep. To sleep. Nothing else happened. On AM feeds, on AM feed, there's an interview with Vita Severn. She talks about her friendship with Spider Jerusalem. Then we get to the actual selection process. Fred Christ of the bride and his brides of Christ are there. Spider says hello, both verbally and with a single finger. And during the selection process, it's announced that Florida is backing Senator Callahan. Now remember, Heller, Callahan's primary rival, is the one who won Florida. And with that, Spider says clearly, yep, this is all, at this point, it's all just, it's all just for show. Callahan's got the nomination. So Callahan is named the nominee and makes his speech. And during the speech, Callahan does admit there are terrible things happening in this country and that he will fix them. Spider's happy. Explaining he got the Spider to commit in public to fixing everything he wrote about. That's all he could do. While drinking, Spider mentions that breaking the fourth wall, or just talking to an unseen or just talking to himself because why not? He does intimate that his glasses take pictures, so yeah. Even if he doesn't remember what happened, well, yeah. And so Callahan names his running mate, Joshua Shriver Free. Which Spider realizes is weird because he's never heard of this guy. And that's when it hits Spider. Whoever this Joshua Free is, he's a creature of Heller's. It's also noted that Vita isn't present for the whole thing. But Spider swears he's going to dig up everything he can on Free. So, before they decide to go do their digging, Spider calls up Vita and basically gives her a heads up. You know, hey, I'm going to start digging into Free. Just wanted you to have the warning. She then asked him to dinner, and you know, and so they begin digging. Investigative journalism. He explains time was it'd take months, years even to nail your story through investigative journalism. Today it takes a matter of hours. Not because we are fantastically advanced, not because we are generally cleverer than fuck, but because nobody does investigative journalism anymore, so no one expects it. When I tell someone like Vita I'm going digging, she thinks I mean checking the press releases. They're going to gather sort of vast amounts of information. They're going to do the story. Spider calls up Royce and explains that he needs bribe money. When asked why, he says, because God has spoken to me in God. He said, son, you must find out who owns the Smiler's running mate. And I said, yeah. We get various pictures of people who've appeared in various stories throughout the previous issues. And they end up at a cloning lab. Cloning Lab generally sells their product to Long Pig, the company that sells human meat. It's easier money. They only have to grow a brain stem for the autonomic functions. Brain size doesn't affect flavor. However, Spider explains that he's much more he's actually here about a much more complex job they undertook a few years ago. Contracted for by a company called House Painting Propriety, which was a front. And he then explains that Spider-Man explains he asked around, and he knows what the company sells to what they might call perverted businessmen who like their lovers minus the usual weight of gray matter. And he basically puts it as the guy who runs a bastard farm. He wants the paperwork on that more complex job, all of it. And maybe he'll get selected amnesia. He gets the information. He shows up to talk to Callahan, but security is not going to let in either Yelena or Spider. However, someone comes to save the day. Shannon Yarrow, former journalism student, former assistant to Spider Jerusalem, and now apparently also former Bride of Christ. And now, bodyguard to Spider Jerusalem. And so, they go to the press conference, and Spider drops the bombshell. Josh Freed did not exist until a little more over 2 years ago. And Spider has incontrovertible proof that Senator Bob Heller had been growing his own political creatures in a bastard farm just outside Five Ways here in the city. This, of course, makes Severn beyond mad. Spider then continues everything. For those who don't eat at Long Pig or dally with girls of mild abuse, and incidentally, Bastard farms grow humans. The farms also falsify extensive and convincing backgrounds and records for them, creating that utter rarity. Politicians with clean pasts. Josh Free was the perfect running mate. He had no skeletons in the closet. Hell, he's only 2 years old. Free was traded to Callahan in return for Hiller's control of Florida. And once Florida fell to Callahan, the rest of the convention voted in his favor. And then Spider finishes his rant by asking Senator Callahan if he stands by his running mate. He tries to answer and stumbles over his words and finally says, "What did I ever do to you, Jerusalem?" To which Spider replies, "You made me sick." The trio then go to the word. Spider bursts into Royce's office demanding that they hold the front page. And then there's an announcement coming. Callahan's approval is dropped. All the way down to 18%. However, an interesting point, Vita Severn has a 92% approval rating. And his team is the best thing about Callahan's campaign. So, she's going to make an announcement. So she has a release from Senator Callahan, and as she's about to read it, Vita's head explodes. Spider goes to the grave without his glasses. The death of Dr. Severn has pushed Callahan's approval ratings way up, however. And as she seems the best part of the campaign, well, she's in death. She is now inextricably linked to it, and therefore, since they loved her, well, they'll transfer the affection for her to Callahan. And that is where the story concludes. The Spider pissed off at the grave of a dead former political director, basically being told how things are going to play out. That, oh, she did know about Free's links to Heller. Oh, but Shaq will completely deny that leaked information came from his office. And his drug-dealing former political consultant friend leaves saying it's going to be a good year for bastards. Alright. That's it for Transmet Volume 3. Next week we'll be skipping Transmet and hopping back on to 100 Bullets. Got a couple of videos between now and then that we'll be doing. If you haven't already, check out those last few Mutant Monday videos I've been putting up. I've been going into the Messiah trilogy. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, and PayPal can be found in the description box down below. This is Rock and Roll Spock signing off, saying, live long and rock hard.